I'd love to start out with just kind of understanding what made you specifically focus on product marketing in your job search.
Well, I've been doing product marketing for, I guess, the better part of the last decade. I guess with, like a lot of people in my cohort, product marketing was just coming out as a role and a discipline in tech, kind of mid 2010s. And I was doing digital marketing as a freelancer and sort of like a one person agency, and doing content marketing for consumer brands, for what the jobs that were there at the time. And when I decided to make the transition into tech, I just started to looking at the biggest employers in the Tel Aviv tech scene, and I specifically had my eyes on Wix, Wix.com, the website building company. And they had a job opening for product marketing. And I was reading through the job description. I was like, okay, I think I know what most of these words mean. Uh, and I think, at the very least, I'm gonna try make a run for it and see, send my CV over and see just how far it goes. And I did, and with kind of some help on the inside, and I started the process, and submitted I guess a passable assignment, and there I was. So yeah, and kind of started the role. I was at Wix for about 4 years and did a lot of lateral transitions there. And when I started, I had, I guess, a very vague and superficial understanding of what the role is, and I think maybe a lot of a lot of people had that at the time, and it was kind of it crafted as we were going along into this really deep multidisciplinary area where I think one of the things I always point out is how deeply embedded all of us were, and we were a massive team. I think we were about 25 PMMs at our peak. Some were kind of set horizontally, some were set on specific verticals or on specific customer profiles. But what I love about, and what I loved about that team, and also what I've learned about the role in the years to come, is how accommodating it is to multidisciplinary people and people with extremely varied backgrounds. We were myself, that I was a content marketer, but also a professional musician. We've had photographers, we've had people who owned bars and restaurants, we had graphic designers, we had former entrepreneurs, and kind of all of those saw something about that role and that opportunity, that they're able to really repackage themselves in a way that puts their strengths forward, and always, and gives them continuous access to those strengths, and the ability to put them into use, and really just how versatile it is, in a place that was able to offer us the scale of tens of millions of users to market to, and to really be involved both in product and in growth marketing. And it was kind of, I started writing my own kind of personal book on product marketing as I was there. Towards the end of my time there, I also I felt like there's a need for a community of product marketers, because the role started popping up in more and more companies at earlier stages, and so we founded our own kind of hyper local community for product marketers. I think around the same time that PMA was founded, summer of 2019, and it was a very modest operation pre-COVID. I've kind of moved on to other roles and other companies since then, But that community has grown to immense strengths, and we're now around 6,000 members, and very, very kind of idiosyncratic to the Tel Aviv tech scene. And I think, I want to believe that we've given birth to a lot of careers and career transitions, and really hopefully did something to solidify the status of product marketing in really just a huge variety of industries that we have here.
That's amazing. I think it's like a really common thing that I notice with product marketers is they do kind of, they talk about how they kind of fell into product marketing.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many people with such diverse backgrounds just because it's such a multifaceted role, and I find it really interesting. It's also interesting that you say that your product marketing community was founded around the same time as PMA.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it like came around the same time where we realized, product marketers need somewhere where they can help like define their role.
Yep.
That's another thing, how like product marketing is so misunderstood.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's because what we were actually trying to recreate is, because we were such a big team, and at one point we were all of us sitting in one open space. It was like, again, 20, 25 of us in kind of just like one giant office. And, the ability to kind of turn your chair around, tap someone on the shoulder, and have them take a gander at your work and offer some insights or feedback. And once, many of us started to move away from Wix into other places and other positions, we were missing that. We were missing that real, like, physical sensation of sitting in the room and having and tapping someone on the shoulder. And I think, both that and the fact that you did point that out, that product marketers are misunderstood, and I guess, like, the tragedy of it is that they're misunderstood by the people who recruit them, and the people that they report to. So product marketers will be recruited with a sort of vague mission in mind, but without very, very clear leadership and understanding of what this role can actually contribute. They can very often, especially if they're not extremely experienced, they can sort of default into these general marketing tasks and not really becoming specialized in any one particular area. This is a story that I've heard being told dozens of times. I'm sure you have as well. Yeah. So out of that, like, these communities were born as a means of, like, just let's huddle together and just, like, write a manifesto of who we are, of what we're meant to do, and what we should demand from the people who apparently say that they really, really need us in their organization until we're there, and then they kind of look at us. Well, I don't know. We kind of hope that you would tell us what your job is.
Yeah, definitely. That is also something that I think is common amongst product marketers, especially in our community. I guess, like, on that same thread, then, how did you first get involved with PMA?
Again, I think because both communities were founded around the same time. I mean, PMA was always a global thing, and we were always going to be a very hyper local. It started popping up, and I think obviously, as I was trying to think of, what our offering should be, what our voice should be, and I started noticing Richard and Brioni being more and more active about these topics. I connected with Richard, started speaking, a little bit about that. I participated in a few online events. I think also, COVID was a big driver for getting involved in these, this kind of endless flow of online events, some of which I did actively participate in. And yeah, so I was kind of always moving towards and away from PMA, because and I think at about 2 years ago, you guys held a summit
Mhm.
in Tel Aviv, and we were a bit in touch about that. And yeah, I was kind of always, somehow in awe, I guess. The ability to really, because at one hand, yeah, it's a very successful global enterprise. I'll give you guys that, but you've done it without compromising on the quality of content. And you guys really nailed stuff that were genuinely missing, like training, certifications, just content that is available for the public. I think I've, I will not say how often I've copied entire paragraphs from the blog for specific purposes. But yeah, it was done with intent and with a nuanced sensitivity to the role and to the people who are looking to get into it, who are looking to grow themselves inside it, and who are looking to understand what it looks like and how it can just wedge itself successfully in an organization. And yeah, you're literally writing books about it. So kind of that has kind of become the cornucopia of knowledge about product marketing.
Fantastic. I'm really glad to hear that you've gotten a lot out of the community. Welcome. Glad that you're part of it. I guess speaking on, getting something out of PMA, what brought us here to have this chat was that you managed to actually find a job from the PMA community. So I'd love to talk a bit more about this, and maybe you could walk us through how the initial connection turned into a job opportunity.
So as as I mentioned, we are relocating to London very very soon. And it is being facilitated by my wife's workplace, she's VP product marketing of an Israeli tech company called Kaltura. So we're a PMM household, and so my kid has very little to say about his career path. Because one day he's gonna like, Dad, I have to tell you something. I think I'm a product manager. And it's like, no, son of mine. Get out of here. As we were, as this was being set in motion, obviously, I was working at a very small startup at the time. I knew that I wasn't going to be able to relocate with my job, so I left that and just started looking. And naturally, first of all, I started looking at Israeli companies with local with sites in London, and just started sending CVs out like it's 10 years ago. Like and there was actually there was something refreshing about it, to kind of being launched back to an earlier stage in my career where I'm kind of banging on doors and handing out CVs. There was something quaint about it, a little humbling as well. And throughout that process, at some point, and I've been on the PMA Slack channel since its inception, so for years now, but I can't say I've frequented it or have been particularly active. But when necessity arose, then I said, kind of reminded that there's probably a job board or a job channel or a localized channel for London, and I joined those. And a few days after that, I saw a message on one of the channels saying, this company, Planet, are looking for a senior product marketer. I don't think it was even published, or it was even advertised at the time. And so I reached out to the person who wrote it. We had a short Zoom call. Realized it was to replace her. She was leaving for another place, and she kind of she started my application. I've consulted with her throughout. Met with a hiring manager, did an assignment, presented the assignment, passed the assignment, and all the while I was in constant communication with her as well, and to the point where like it was her last couple of weeks earlier in October, and we spoke every single day. We kind of, she kind of we've had this kind of off-axis onboarding because we weren't going to overlap. And so I was using spare time that I have because I'm kind of just counting down the days now, and the fact that that these were her final weeks at the company, and so so it was all very kind of PMA driven and enabled. It was just like message to DM to Zoom call to application process to getting a job. Which is kind of that's exactly what she wrote. It was really cool.
Wow, that's amazing, especially to hear that the person who was leaving the job, like she wanted to support you through the entire process, and she like gave you like basically all of the tools that you needed through the process. Like it's really nice to hear.
Yeah, no, that was really phenomenal. And but shout out to Victoria Austin. If you're watching this, you really are phenomenal. And also the fact that she took such an active part in looking for her replacement. I kept saying, almost jokingly, but only almost, that if it was me, I would have been active in, and I would have supported my my replacement and looking for a replacement. But like, would I have sat down for 2 hours on my very last day with the person who's going to replace me and that they're probably never going to meet face to face? I don't know, but like it tells me a lot about her character, and I'm absolutely certain that she will be amazing at her new place. And but it was just kind of this serendipitous moment where she happened to post it an hour before I was looking at it, and I happened to kind of be really quick and alert to move that forward, and the results speak for themselves, I guess.
Yeah, that's amazing, especially like it sounds like it was kind of like a behind the scenes, like before it gets posted, like giving the community an opportunity to apply first, which is great. And I think it's also testament to Victoria, but then also the company, that she's so loyal to it and that she wants it to perform so well that she's like helped you through the process. So I think it bodes well for you as well.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a massive green flag. The fact that that she was so committed to the process of finding her replacement. Again, a lot of people, no one would have batted an eye if someone who's voluntarily leaving saying like, okay, here's the job is open, you have your process, you have your HR department, go and do your thing, like I'm out. But it was it was really it was really reassuring to see how like the really the level of commitment that was there.
Yeah, amazing. But then also we have to say, like, your skills, it's obviously clear that you had a very big hand in getting hired.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, so well done to you as well.
Thank you.
I'm wondering, like, what do you think, do you have any like idea of whether like it's your background or like the level of experience? Like, what do you think made you particularly attractive for this role?
I mean, I am an experienced product marketer, I guess. I've, I have, I guess, kind of my product marketing career can be split into, as about half of it I was an IC, and the second half of it I was a people's manager or a vendor manager, whatever you want to look at it. But I have experience in building product marketing teams and product marketing disciplines where they are either not non-existent, but like they're so enmeshed with other things that they just don't really provide optimal value, and the division of labor really isn't clear or effective. So, I mean, there's that. I again, like, I have done product marketing. I've built a marketing department from scratch, and product marketing is my sort of my native marketing language. So that's the first thing I would always bring. I think also my community leading, kind of aspect, and the fact that through that I've kind of been a constant student of what product marketing is, and I've observed a lot of careers being formed and grown, and a lot of people speak, and have also personally interviewed and uncovered a lot of product marketing endeavors in various companies. I will also give credit to my wife for that. She leads a product marketing department in a very enterprise-focused company, and her input also on the assignment and on the role in general was also very critical. And yeah, so I guess it all boils down to the fact that from my current vantage point, I have a very well-rounded observation on product marketing, and I can also see kind of like the geological layers of this role and discipline, how it was a decade ago, how it evolved, how it looks like in B2C or PLG products versus how it looks like in B2B and enterprise and sales-led organizations. How, like, what remains as constant, regardless of industry and regardless of business model, and what fundamentally changes. And I apparently, I was able to bring most of that into the process and into the assignment. Funny thing, I think the other week I had someone from my own community reach out and asking if she can get feedback on her own home assignment for an enterprise sales-led company that she was applying for. And I said, I can, if you want, I can share my, the deck that I presented that got me this job. If if you want to just riff off of things, and I showed her that. She took some notes, she took some inspirations, and she got the job as well. So like, that was a very nice moment.
Amazing. So it's just wins all round, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice to hear it. So I'm interested to see, like, obviously at time of recording you haven't started yet, but from like what you've seen from the company and what your role entails, how does this role compare to what you were initially looking for?
I think it was exactly what I was looking for, in the sense that, because I am transitioning into a new country, a new market, a new job culture, in a lot of ways I kind of wanted to not take a step back, but to go back to basics. I've worked for enormous companies that serve millions of customers, and I've done people management for several years, and I was in a lot of ways missing the dirt under my fingers. I was missing doing something that, or learning something that I don't necessarily know how to do. I was looking for a very fundamental challenge in product marketing, because I felt like at the academic level I know a lot about it, but at kind of the hands-on level there are still things that I can know more about. and can actually mold um, and yeah. So that's something that I was really actively looking. I was looking for a company that focuses on enterprise customers, because I haven't done a lot of that. I've done consulting for these types of companies, but I haven't spent a lot of time in companies that are completely and utterly driven by sales and sales teams.
Mm-hmm.
And I was certainly looking for that. I was also kind of inadvertently, I was looking to work for a fintech company, which is what Planet is, the space where Planet is. So I I can tell you, yeah, I was looking for roles that I either it was very clear that I could get hired for, and that aren't a completely are completely just don't fit my CV and my skills. But I really also wanted this feeling of just like, let's go back to school for a second.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I will be getting a lot of that. At the same time, I know I can kind of plot out 30, 60, 90 days, at which points I'm bringing what I believe are my absolute fortes, and the stuff that I have 10,000 hours on, so that it's just like learning, acquiring, adjusting, but also but delivering. And so the things that are second nature will always happen, and will happen immediately, and they will enable the learning.
Yeah, brilliant. So it sounds like it's going to be a very refreshing change, lots of new things to learn, but it sounds very exciting.
Yeah.
Just like to wrap this up then, I guess, like, what's one piece of advice that you'd give to product marketers or our community members who are currently job hunting?
Be patient. No, I can say that, and this is a universal tip I think I give to anyone who ever approaches me with this question, is first of all, and that has nothing to do with product marketing, but it has everything to do with job hunting. Like, find someone at a company you want to work at. It is, it's not, I don't know how, how openly this is being said and discussed, but ultimately, like, of all of the CVs that I've sent out, the 3 that have progressed into a face-to-face interview were the ones where I knew someone on the team,
Mm-hmm.
or like not even on the team, but just like somewhere that with like an @company.com email. I can't stress it enough. And if you don't, well, that's what communities are for. Communities are for networking, are for, for putting your face out there, for getting your future employer and future colleagues to be aware of your existence and be connected on LinkedIn, so that when you send them out a message, you're not a complete stranger. That's number one. Whatever you've done in your career thus far, and it can be product marketing, and it can be something else in your transitioning, package that CV in a way that is appealing for someone who's recruiting for a product marketer. If you don't know which skills that and which parts of your experience are relevant for product marketing, speak to a senior product marketer. Like, they will help you. Like, I've done so many of these conversations by now where someone like, well, yeah, I've led a creative department in an advertising firm. Like, amazing. Here's why you were a product marketer. Like, and I've kind of just like, I point out all of these soft skills and deliverables that they worked on that are actually product marketing, and be, and convince yourself about that, so that you're also convincing when you're pitching that. And And third, and that's usually the case with home assignments. Home assignments are controversial, but like, don't take them for granted. If you feel like you don't know how to approach them, reach out to people who can help you with that approach. Always overdo your home assignment. Like, always do more than what you were asked. Like, I know that home assignments, like, they've always been a hot topic, and people love to bicker over them, whether or not they're necessary, whether or not, like, I'm going to spend a week of my life doing free labor for this company that's not going to. Yes, I'm sorry. Like, you want the job, you're going to have to put in a little bit of time beyond interviews. But yeah, like, I can always, like, I can say from experience, every time I've overdone a home assignment and got the job, I've used stuff from my home assignment on the job. Like, I've copied entire slides from presentations, having done them from a standstill position, not knowing the company. I was like, okay, I was actually onto something. Wait, let's put this over here. So yeah, and yeah, patience. It's a numbers game, and if you want to shorten that in between period, be active in communities, show up to places, show up to meetups, engage with people, ask stupid questions, stupid and embarrassing questions. Like, seriously, I mean, again, I don't know how it's like in, like, the public forums of the PMA, but in my own personal community, we always encourage stupid questions. Like, we as community leaders always put ourselves out there to and saying, like, if you are at a point where you need someone to hold your hand, or you need someone as a sounding board, and like, you don't have to be embarrassed by us. Like, we are, we're colorless, we're odorless. Like, we will reflect what you show us. Yeah, that's how I see it.
Fantastic, thank you. It's a lot of good advice. I think from the sounds of it, a lot of it boils down to that kind of trust, like you trusting other people, but then the company trusting you, and like, if you know them well and building those relationships, then it definitely does help you. But then also just like them trusting you in terms of being able to get the job done properly with the home assignments, like trying to do more to show them that, like, you can do more, and just proving that to them. So yeah, thank you for that. That's really great advice. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
Brilliant. Those are all the questions I had. Just wondering whether you have anything else that you'd like to add before we wrap up.
Yeah, I think, again, kind of going back to the power of communities, and I kind of feel like I'm leaving my own community behind, which I know is not true, but this is, when I started mine, it was very much to just create a place of familiarity within a very, very small and tight-knit network, and kind of, when I'm now looking down at moving to a new place where I know some people, but I'm still, I'll be fresh off the boat, and a newcomer, and we'll have to form a lot of these new ties from scratch. I'm actually, I'm really looking forward to be more involved with PMA, something that I've kind of been, on the sidelines for, and I've already connected with a lot of leaders and faces and figures, and yeah, and I think it's going to be a really, really exciting time.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, we're very excited to have you. So